From the Walter E. Washington Convention Center in Washington, D.C., this is the Boxing Along the Beltway post-fight wrap-up show. The Boxing Along the Beltway post-fight wrap-up show is brought to you in part by UndisputedBrand.com. Visit UndisputedBrand.com for the finest in boxing and mixed martial arts apparel. Undisputed Brand, the brand true champions wears. And by JM Photography at jmphotography26 at yahoo.com. Your home is your studio with JM Photography 26 at yahoo.com. Hi again everyone, Gary Digital Williams alongside Juan Marshall of ProAm and we're wrapping up the big card here, Keystone boxing card here at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. And we also have Brent Powell from 4th Street Films showing us the video version of this card here tonight. And I tell you, Juan, this was an interesting card tonight as far as the development of some of our young boxers. And this is what these boxers are about. And a lot of people have talked about on both our blogs about the way to develop a fighter. And we've noticed over the last few years there isn't just one way to do that. And I think a lot of people are maybe a little bit impatient and want to see these fighters move a little quicker than they may want to. And again, every fighter is different. But we'll talk more about that a little bit. We'll start, of course, with our main event, and that is Dusty Harrison winning by second round TKO, fighting a cold tonight, a little bit of congestion, as he told us after the fight. And he scored a second round TKO with some nice single shots against Shane Gerke in winning the second round KO.
Yeah, Dusty really mixed it up with this fight. He also, it seemed like he came on a revenge for himself for the last fight. He won the last fight, but just because of that knockdown, I guess he came to prove a point.
No question about it. I think he came up with a lot more determination, even more so than he usually does. And I think that helped him with a beautiful shot. The body shot was just right down Broadway, right down the pike. And then he finished it off later on with the right hand over the top and went on to win the bout. Bout was stopped at 2:56 of the second round, and Dusty Harris is now 9-0 with 5 KOs to his credit. Shane Gerke falls to 5-27-2 with 4 KOs to his credit. Also in the card tonight, the return after a 6-year absence for King James McAllister, now fighting out of Waldorf, Maryland. And he won a 6-round unanimous decision over James Denson in a bout that, although he knocked down McAllister in the 4th round, it was touch and go for a couple rounds there.
Yeah, James, he showed a little ring rust, like he was working himself into the fight. But he still was a little strong, but like you said, he got caught, and the guy wasn't going anywhere, so it was a tough fight for him.
The scores were 59-55 and 60-54 twice for King James McAllister. Now he is 12-6 with 3 KOs to his credit. James Denson falling to 5-11 with 2 KOs. We saw tonight the pro debut of truly one of the more heralded amateur boxers that we've had in our area in quite some time, and that's Kevin Rivers Jr. out of Palmer Park, Maryland. Made his pro debut tonight. We talked to him afterwards. We hear that one on Spreaker.com, and Kevin said the headgear, it felt great to be without the headgear, but he learned a lesson about the head clashes, and he definitely learned that lesson throughout the night.
Yeah, not only the headgear being gone, but the smaller glove.
Right.
And the harder punches being felt with the smaller glove. But he brought his amateur experience right into the ring, the flow right with the pro experience. So he did a good job tonight, landing body shots, which of course was a Roach's.
Exactly.
That's the Roach's pet peeve right there, body shots.
Right.
And he showed it because he did what Andrew counseled.
He also, and also he did get, not penalized, but he warned by referee Rick Ellis for the low blows, and I think in all honesty there were a few that Rick Ellis might have missed during the course of the bout. But it was a learning experience for Kevin Rivers, made it pro debut a successful one, a 4-round unanimous decision. All 3 judges scored about 40-36 in favor of Kevin Rivers, and David Warren Huffman, who I think, Juan, may be the best 1-8 fighter we've seen in quite some time. This guy comes to fight every night. Every time he's been here 3 times now, twice against Ronaldo Gaines, because he won his only win against Ronaldo Gaines in the rematch last time out. But he comes to fight, and he's got to be given a lot of credit for being a very durable opponent.
Exactly. Let you matchmakers know, looking at his record, do not judge that record, because this guy is a tough fighter.
No question about it.
You will take a chance, put him as a fight.
David Warren Huffman out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 1-8. As you said, Kevin Rivers Jr. making his pro debut a successful one. Also tonight, David Day Grayton, a solid performance, 2-14 the first round against Anthony Jones, and a lot of people were very impressed with David Grayton tonight.
Yeah, David is a strong fighter. You know, was talking at the table, we're saying this guy's here not just to be a small time fight. He's trying to take it somewhere. And he showed tonight he got the potential to be a champion one day.
He stopped Anthony Jones at 2:14 of the first round. He's now 2-0 with 2 KOs. Anthony Jones 0-5 tonight. The guy I think we may have been most concerned about this evening might have been Harold Sweet-Lee Parker. And this is a guy who has had a tough couple of weeks, so no question about it. After the loss he suffered here at the convention center in the last time outing. Of course, you all know about the situation involving himself and his father with the iPhones and all. So it has not been the easiest of weeks for Harold Parker, but tonight he took out all his frustrations out on David Tomlin out of Wilson, North Carolina, stopping him just 48 seconds in the first round, and David Tomlin still yet to see the end of the first round.
Yeah, Harold showed tonight that the situation going on outside the ring, it didn't affect him at all. And he was throwing strong punches, and he showed it tonight. He did an outstanding job.
So Harold Parker now 3-1 with 3 KOs to his credit, and as we said, David Tomlin 0-5. Also on the card tonight, Danny Kelly, another one of the young heavyweights out of the Beltway. And again, this is one of the major changes in trends in history along the Beltway. We've always been somewhere mostly between 140 and 160. From junior welterweight to middleweight, you throw in the likes of Mark Johnson and Eric Aiken outside of that, who have been successful outside those weight classes. And of course, we have Seth Mitchell at the heavyweight spot. But I tell you, between Danny Kelly, Wayne Mobley, and of course Seth, Maurice Byram is still there, the heavyweight division is starting to look pretty interesting here in the Beltway.
Yeah, Headbangers Camp, they added something to their arsenal over there with those guys, with Lamont and Anthony Peterson. We got Day,
right?
You know, and Danny Kelly. You know, so they got heavyweight, welterweight, junior welterweight, lightweight. They got it all over there.
They do.
And look, I don't want to touch on it too much, but look for some other things coming out of Headbangers in the near future. It's coming soon.
Well, we hope the big thing that comes out of there is, of course, Lamont Peterson and Zab Judah, maybe even right here in this very building. So we'll see what happens. But Danny Kelly with another strong performance. He stops Ryan Shea at 2:47 of the very first round. Kelly's now 2-0, 2 KOs, and Ryan Shea falls to 5-16 with 4 KOs. Now, in second bout of the evening, Jared Hurd out of Hillcrest Heights, Maryland, the middleweight. He made his pro debut, took very little time, being a woefully overmatched Mike Arnold at 130 of the first round. And Jared Hurd was, again, out of that strong middleweight division that we did have in the amateur division with Demetrius Ballard, Damon Nicholson, and others. Jared Hurd stepped out, and he's done very well.
Jared held his own with those guys in the amateur ranks. You know, he put up a pretty good fight every time he fought Demetrius Ballard and everything. So tonight he came in and had a good Mike Arnold. You know, Mike Arnold comes to the ring. You know, everybody looks past this guy, but he does what he can in the ring. But Jared put all the talent that he had in himself, and he showed it inside with the skills that he has.
Mike Arnold is 0-9, and Jared Hurd makes his pro debut a successful one. And our first bout tonight, Emmanuel Alim, one of the Fighting Alim brothers out of Richmond, Virginia, and they have just done an outstanding job. They're training in this area now. They're training over at Club One Fitness. And after 57 seconds of the first round, Emmanuel Alim did indeed stop Marcus Clay out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And again, that was a little bit of an interesting bout there, because we know that Marcus Clay actually did win a 4-round unanimous decision over a guy that was 9-1. So for Alim, I should say, to come out and do a very good job stopping Clay with a brutal double left hook to the body and the head, and that was pretty much it for Marcus Clay tonight.
Yeah, I thought Clay was going to, I guess, last a little longer than what he did in these rounds. But Emmanuel Alim, that kid has talent. He's strong, he's fast, and look out for that kid. You look for that name when you look on these cards in the future.
And also look out for his brother Moshe, who may be on the next card we have here in the Beltway, and that'll be on October 6th in Maryland, in Fort Myers Henderson Hall in Arlington, Virginia. So that concludes the card. Now we can kind of talk about that card a little bit. As Dwayne Mobley, we talk about one of the young heavyweights, he headlines that card on October 6th. And also on the card, we have Teron Kid Grant and many others. So we have a full matchup for you coming up a little bit later on both our blogs in the very near future. But looks like a very good card. And again, will be a busy month of October here along the Beltway.
Yeah, that card I'm very interested in. But also, this card here that happened tonight had to be one of the most talented cards and most exciting cards with pro debut fighters coming out in this area. You know, we're excited to see Kevin Rivers and of course Jared. and then David. Grayton, you know, he's making his second fight, and also Danny is his second fight. So I was excited to see those guys finally get in and step in and come up with the big boys now.
And again, we go back to the point that we started the show with tonight, and this whole thing about the trying to build a fighter. And again, I think it all depends on how well fighters develop. And again, we talk about guys who are taking care of these guys, and I guess the question would be, would you rather have them take care of the boxers in the way they're doing it, or carry these guys who shouldn't be in the same ring with them and make their performances, even in winning bouts, look suspect? Well, how do you do that?
You have to protect your fighters. You know, a guy just coming out, if you want to see your fighter excel, you can go state to state and they do the same thing state to state. So the complaint about fighting no one, who else you going to fight with a debut fight? You know, how can you compare those fights? Yeah. How can you match them up?
And a lot of the matchups that people have said on our blogs are good matchups maybe 4 or 5 years down the road, or 3 or 4, depending on how they develop again. But at 2-0, 3-0, in all honesty, it doesn't make, to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Maybe to some of y'all watching, but some of y'all listening, it may make sense. For me, it doesn't make sense to me. And again, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Something we've always said here in the Beltway region.
And then in the long run, it's going to pay off because you're going to want to see those fighters compete. Now,
once things are on the line.
And then that way we have better fights down the road.
Right. So we'll see. It's an endless debate. It may be an endless debate, and have to see what goes on with that. But we look at the rest of the schedule here for the month of October. Once again, we've got October 6th, Fort Myer, Henderson Hall in Arlington, Virginia. We'll both be there for that one. October the 20th at the Winchester Sportsplex in Winchester, Virginia. October 27th, back at the Patriot Center at George Mason University. And we are hearing some great things about that card coming up. And we'll be talking about more about that. But one thing we have to mention, it seems to be signed. Brandon Quarles, and we talk about a fighter moving up in a situation, here's a prime example. Brandon Quarles, who is 9-0 with 2 knockouts to his credit out of Alexandria, taking on a very, very tough boxer by the name of John No Mercy Mackey. He's originally from DC, fights out of Montgomery, Alabama, is trained and managed by one of the Virginia boxing legends, Han Sugar Kim, and this is a guy who has fought a number of quality fights in the many years around the Beltway. He had the fight of the year back in 2008 against Tony Saigon. This guy comes to fighting John Mackey, and it's a major test for Brandon Quarles.
Yeah, I think this is a fight that Brandon Quarles really is accepting and that he knows that he needs.
Right.
And I think he's going to become and be ready for that fight. Right. He's training hard. He's been waiting for another fight. He wants to stay more active than what he is. So any fight that comes along, he's willing to take it and go with it.
Also on the card, of course, the main event, we've talked about it, Jimmy Lang taking on Tony Jeter. The co-feature, Zion Shaw, going up against Harry Joe Yorgi. Jerry Odom, another of the next wave, he makes his pro debut on that card October 27th. And also Emmanuel Alim, who fought here tonight, takes on a really tough character. Now again, we talk about it again. Emmanuel Alim against Mark Baltimore could be a very, very good bout. So that's October 27th at the Patriot Center, George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia. November the 1st, the Thursday night, that's Fight Night at Washington Hilton Hotel. November the 3rd, we're right back here at the Washington Convention Center. And then on November 8th, we are at Martin Valley Mansion in Cockeysville, Maryland for the Jonathan Ogden benefit boxing card as well. So we've got a lot going on. We haven't even talked about the amateur bouts. There's an amateur card October 13th in Hagerstown, Maryland. Another one October 20th at the Burns Arena in Baltimore. And of course the PALs are coming up in October as well. So a lot of our Beltway amateurs will be heading to the PALs. So we've got so much going on. We're coming up to a very, very busy time that'll take us right almost to the end of the year. So we'll see what happens.
And we can't forget about the possible making of Zab Judah and Lamont Peterson maybe to this area. Yeah. You know, so hopefully they're trying to bring it home. So
stay with us. We've got it all covered for you throughout all the people who cover the Beltway boxing scene. I know Michael Walters was here tonight, Bleacher Report. You got Brent Powell and say videotaping us, Juan, myself. We got Gotham Nagesh of SifJab.com. He was here tonight. So we've got so many people who are covering this area very, very well. So just continue to support us, all of us, and we'll give you the best information we can.
And also we had a lot of support from all the veteran fighters, the retired fighters that came back to watch this card.
We had
it was a packed house tonight.
We had a who's who tonight. We had Sean Bay Mitchell, Keith Holmes, former world champion, Daryl Coley, Lamont Peterson, Dale Hatchet, Matchett, Chop Coy was here tonight. The Peterson brothers were here tonight. Isra Gerger Wynn was here. Tony Jeter. You name it, just about. They were here tonight. Thomas Snow, and that's another thing. Thomas Snow and also Gary Russell Jr. are also scheduled to have bouts coming up in October. Also October 27th. Also Emmanuel Taylor is scheduled to have a bout sometime in October as well. So we got so much going on right now. It's hard to keep up with it. We will do that here along the Beltway.
Award giving.
Well, we're going to talk about that. That's what I want to close with tonight. I want to close tonight with a gentleman who was honored this evening. We tried to get an interview with him tonight. I had some technical difficulties with that interview tonight, so we could not bring it to you, but I would not be able to finish this without paying homage to this gentleman. We had a man by the name of Gilbert Ware honored tonight, and Gilbert Ware has spent more than 45 years in the sport of boxing. And what I didn't know after all this time was that he was a manager, and one of the guys he managed was here tonight, a guy from Philadelphia by the name of Tyrone Butterfly Crawler. But without Gilbert Ware and a couple other people in the boxing business in this area, I wouldn't be sitting here right now, pure and simple. Gilbert Ware, when I first started doing this almost 28 years ago, took me, basically I went into his office one day and said I wanted to do a television show about boxing in DC. He took me sight unseen and he said, let's go ahead and do it. And that's the way it's been his attitude toward me and everything else that goes on. And a lot of things that go on in DC are the direct result of the groundwork that Gilbert Ware and many others laid down for us. So it's so wonderful that he was able to be honored this evening. He deserves it. He's one of the best people I know, and he's just an amazing man. I congratulate him on his honor here tonight. So that'll do it here from the Washington Convention Center. Remember, the Boxing Along the Beltway post-fight wrap-up show is brought to you in part by UndisputedBrand.com. Visit UndisputedBrand.com for the finest in boxing and mixed martial arts apparel. Undisputed Brand, the brand true champions wear. And by JM Photography at jmphotography26 at yahoo.com. Your home is your studio with JM Photography at jmphotography26 at yahoo.com. For Brent Powell of 4th Street Films doing our camera work, and for my broadcast partner, Juan Marshall of ProAm Fight Talk, I'm Gary Digital Williams, reminding you as always to keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the Boxing Along the Beltway. Take care.